seated. We're about to begin. I need a microphone around my house. It got quiet pretty quick. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Scott Burton, and I'm the mayor of Clinton. I would like to welcome you to the Clinton 12 Commemorative Walk. I know that most of you have read about or have watched videos about the Clinton 12 and the history they made 63 years ago today. Not too many times in your life do you have the opportunity to not just to see these videos, but see the people that made the history today. This opportunity you'll be able to share with your children and with your grandchildren over your lifetime. It's a great opportunity. But I know you didn't come to listen to me, so we'll get the program started shortly. First of all, I want to give an opportunity to recognize these honored guests. Please stand for the presentation of colors and remain standing. Should have said that a couple of seconds earlier. And remain standing for the invocation by Reverend William Caldwell, pastor at Mount Sinai Baptist Church in Clinton, and also the Pledge of Allegiance led by Pastor Danny Chisholm, pastor of First Baptist Church. Please present the colors.
Let us bow our heads, Lord. We thank you, Lord, now for this day, or what this day represents. We invoke you to come and be in this presence, Lord. We ask you, Lord, to gather with us as we go through this service to honor these honorees. We give your name praise, honor, and glory for who you are, for being God all by yourself. Now bless us and keep us is our prayer. We ask in your Son, Jesus' name, and for his sake. Let everybody say amen. Amen.
Before I lead us in the pledge, I simply wanted to offer a few words from Reverend Paul Turner. This is a manuscript of a sermon he gave to his church after his beating. And he closed with these words: "Let life be anchored to faith, hope, and love. Let God make us better people, and immediately our community and nation will see better days." Now join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please retire the colors. Please be seated. At this time, I would like to introduce a local historian, a leader of Clinton, and a former classmate of the Clinton 12. Jerry Shattuck will lead a panel discussion with the individuals that could attend today's program that are part of the Clinton 12. Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Shattuck.
It is a great honor for me this morning to be able to introduce certain members of the Clinton 12. Remember those who are not here today. I think first we need to say a word of remembrance to 4 of the Clinton 12 who have passed away and are represented here to my left. Mr. Alfred Williams, Mr. Maurice Souls, Alva McSwain. Look there, tall Sam. Last but certainly not least, I want to remember Ron Hayden, who was the first of the Clinton 12 to pass away. His sister is director of our Green McAdoo Cultural Center and Museum. Thank you all. I would like also to introduce certain people who are here today to represent their connection to the Clinton 12. Mr. Robert Thakur lives in Michigan. His wife, Yvonne, daughter, Christy, flew down here yesterday to attend this service. They're flying back tomorrow, or is it this afternoon? But they're going to try to squeeze in a trip to the museum in the meantime. We thank you so much for your effort to come here and participate in this event. I may be mistaken, but I think another relative of Mr. Thakur is here. Valerie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have another representative of the Clinton 12 who was going to be here this morning. However, her husband is ill and she has some health difficulties also, but she told her son to get himself over here. That's Minnie Ann Dickey and her son Kenneth. Minnie Ann Dickey's parents, Kenneth's grandparents, were one of the set of the plaintiffs in the original lawsuit, McSwain, Dickey, Scruggs versus Anderson County. That lawsuit was filed a year before Brown versus Board of Education was filed in Topeka, Kansas. So there's a real connection to history through that Dickey family. We're greatly appreciative of it. I want to tell a little anecdote about some of the Clinton 12 representatives who are here this morning. Gail Ann Epps was the first black female student to graduate from a desegregated public high school in the South. Gail Ann gave a program down at Oak Ridge Associated Universities, and she told a story that I don't think I'll ever forget. There were about, 500 or 600 people there, I think, weren't there, Gail? And Gail told this story. All of you are familiar with that iconic picture of the Clinton 12 marching down the hill, commemorated in the statuary that exists there at Green McAdoo Museum. And of course, Gail Ann was one of those people marching down the hill. And at some Green McAdoo function, she and her son attended. And her son, incidentally, is a detective, I think maybe chief of detectives, the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office. At any rate, they were looking at that picture together. And her son put his arm around her and he says, "Mama, I'm here because you were there. Very touching moment. Test. You have to give a speech now, Gail.
Thank you so much for coming out and recognizing us as trailblazers in the fight for equality. I hope that you have taken something from this and use it in life, and especially the younger generation. We're too old to do it too much right now, but you can make a better world than there is. Thank you so much.
Another member of the Clinton 12 who's here, and I've lost her, Anna Theresa Caswell. Where are you, Theresa? Oh, there you are. I got to tell a story on her, too. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee invited her down to their headquarters in Chattanooga to give a speech and a presentation. And I guess there were 400 or 500 people there, maybe more than that. Well, to get her down here, they sent a chauffeur-driven limousine from Chattanooga up to Claxton. And she went down there and gave her program, received a standing ovation, and of course, the limousine, chauffeur-driven limousine, brought her right back to Claxton. So she's here today. Theresa?
Good morning. I'm so very glad to be here this morning and see all the smiling faces, all the young children that will be coming on behind us. I hope that they will all stay in school, learn a whole lot from all the things that have gone on before them. I'm very appreciative to be invited here today. I almost wasn't able to come, but I made it. I thought if Joanne can make it from California, surely I can make it from Claxton. So I want to thank everybody for being here this morning. Thanks very much.
And I honestly can't think of anyone that deserved that chauffeur-driven limousine any more than Theresa. I'm sure many of you recognize Joanne Allen Boyce. I'll tell you a little bit about her. She and her late great-grandson, Cameron Boyce, some of you may remember as the Disney star Jessie, came to Clinton. Cameron brought a Disney crew with him, and they has filmed a special up there at the Green McAdoo Center in order to honor the Clinton 12, and particularly his grandmother. Well, of course, she helped him produce that video, and doggone, you know what? It won an Emmy. So here's an Emmy Award winner. Now, not only that, now Joanne has written a book. And doggone, the East Tennessee Historical Society has already given it its award of distinction, and the Boston Globe, nationally renowned newspaper, has given that book its Horn Award for the best young adult nonfiction of 2019. So all of you get that book. It's called A Promise of Change. It's my honor to introduce Joanne to you. Joanne?
Thank you, Jerry, and thank you, Anna, for saying California to Claxton. I love that. What a difference coming down the hill was this morning. Thank you so very much. In particular, I want to thank all the scholars outside and inside for giving us the applause, the band for moving me so deeply that I wanted to cry. I am so grateful for the events of the day, for the town's recognition of us. It's something that I think we have long deserved. So now that you've given it to us, I want to give you my greatest appreciation. Thank you so much. If Cameron were here, he would also say, thank you.
The only senior class member from the Clinton 12 was Bobby Kane. And Bobby, I think, was the acknowledged leader of the Clinton 12. He supported them throughout that first week of unbelievable pressure, harassment, turmoil, mob violence. He held them together. He did so through the entire year. And things did get better, but there were still periods of harassment, pain, humiliation, but the Clinton 12 persevered, and Bobby Kane had a lot to do with that as the senior who led them and stood for them. Bobby Kane was the first black student to graduate from a desegregated public school in the South. That graduation was right here in this very gymnasium. And I'm sure that that evening had to be one of the best nights of Bobby's life, but at the same time turned out to be one of the worst nights of his life also, because after the ceremony was over, everyone went back to a room to turn in their graduation gowns, and somebody threw out the lights and somebody sucker punched Bobby. That's the kind of thing he persevered through that senior year. But since then, he's received his share of accolades, so I hope it makes up for it a little bit. Very proud of Bobby Kane. I think all of you and the entire town, state, and the nation should be.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. To the city of Clinton, to all the dignitaries in the House, and to each mayor that's here today. I also want to thank the principal of Clinton Middle School and the students, especially the band, and I certainly enjoy the honor guard. But it is indeed to come back and see. I have not been in this gym, I don't know, since I've been in probably about 50 years. But I want to thank each of you all for coming and honoring us. It is indeed an honor, and especially to the young man that has passed on to my good friend Alfred Williams, Maurice Souls, and Ronald Hayden. I do miss them dearly. And to those who are not African American that was in school with us at the time, I thank you for giving us the honor of going to school with you. And for those who did not want to go, did not do any harm to us. Thank you, each of you. Thank you.
Who have I forgotten? Galen, you want to make another speech? No, okay. It's truly been an honor for me to introduce these folks to you, to let you hear from them in person. The Clinton Middle School homerooms have gotten together and put together a list of questions that they wanted me to run by certain members of the Clinton 12. First question, did you all become even closer because of the hardships you faced? Bobby?
Ironically, we did not meet during this particular event. We went to our individual church. We did not have a meeting. And believe it or not, we never did discuss it for almost 40 years. So we did not come closer. We were always close because we were here within our little area up there on top of the hill. So I'm not sure if they're any closer because we didn't see each other almost for 50 years. But we always have been friends.
Thank you, Bobby. Next question, have you kept in contact with each other through the years? And I think he pretty well answered that also. But I think they've had a lot of contact since the museum opened. They've come here for various affairs and have enjoyed tremendous fellowship. Number 3, what do you see as major differences between life now versus life then? Gail Ann, do you want to handle that one?
I see more diversity amongst the young children now than there were back when I was going to school. And I think it could be better, but it's much better than it was.
Let Joanne tackle this one. What is your best memory of your time at Clinton High School?
Wow, best memory, first few days. More smiles, more people trying to learn a little bit about us. Me being nominated for vice president of my homeroom. Miss Anderson, one of our teachers, who was glorious, who looked after us, made sure every day that we were okay. Those are my best memories.
And last question, what was it like to participate in the commemorative walk and be here now in this gym celebrating this historical moment? Joanne, you get to take that one too.
Oh my goodness, it was wonderful, wonderful. What a great feeling it was this morning to come down the hill, to see the smiling faces and the waves and people throwing kisses and signs up and that band. Oh my goodness, I want to cry. And the kids who were waving and smiling, and it was glorious. It was a glorious morning. Thank you.
Another member of the Clinton 12 who couldn't be here this morning was Regina Turner Smith. She lives in Oak Ridge and was unable to come here this morning. Regina graduated, and you know, Anderson County, we have opened 4 industrial parks since the 1960s. And the first industrial park was the Eagle Bend Industrial Park. And the first industry in the first industrial park was Modine Manufacturing Company out of Racine, Wisconsin. Regina worked there for 34 years, raised her family there. Sorry she couldn't make it here this morning. In closing, I got to give you one more story about Bobby Kane. That first year of desegregation, we didn't have enough time to get organized, nor organize the other schools within the conference to allow or have a situation where the black students could participate in the ball games against all of our rivals. But that spring, we put together a track meet. Now, we didn't have a track back then, but we made up a track meet down at the Clinton High School football field, where they still play, thank God. But anyway, that track meet, of course, we featured a 100-yard dash and a 200-yard dash, and all the fast football players and everything were in that. Well, Bobby King got in that race, and he smoked everybody. thank you very much. I hope this has been interesting for you, but we have a whole lot of program to get through and a lot of very wonderful guests who will speak to us. As a matter of fact, I may horn in later on to specifically thank Senator Lamar Alexander and Governor Randy McNally for their very, very specific and generous help in making the Green McAdoo Museum a reality.
Good morning. I'm Anderson County Mayor Terry Frank. First to the students of the Clinton 12 and to the family of the Clinton 12 students, thank you. Thank you. I would now like to introduce Senator Lamar Alexander. I'm a little bit shorter than Jerry. United States Senator Lamar Alexander is a 7th generation Tennessean born and raised in Maryville. He was twice elected governor of Tennessee and is the only Tennessean to have been popularly elected as governor and senator. Alexander was first elected to the Senate in 2002 and has been re-elected twice. He has previously served as president of the University of Tennessee and as U.S. Secretary of Education. Senator Alexander is a classical and country pianist and author of 7 books. He and his wife, Honey, have 4 children, 9 grandchildren, and a dog named Rufus. Senator Alexander.
Thank you, Mayor Frank, to Governor McNally, Congressman Fleischmann, Representative Reagan, Bob Clement, Judy Gooch, students and teachers, and especially to the Clinton 12 and their families and friends. It is hard sitting here to imagine the courage that it took those 12 students, some of them as young as 14 years of age, to take the walk that we just took this morning and become the first students to integrate a public high school in the South. In that year, 63 years ago, I was a rising junior at Maryville High School, about an hour away. I remember reading in the Knoxville newspapers about John Casper and the demonstrations and how they'd come to Clinton to intimidate the men and the women that we honor here today. I remember the uncommon courage of then Governor Frank Clement, whose son Bob is here, who sent in state troopers and National Guardsmen in support of the Clinton 12. Today that seems like it would be an easy decision to make, but it was not an easy decision for the governor to make in those times. Remember that the very next year, 1957, it was a different story in Arkansas. The governor of Arkansas stood in the door and stopped the students from coming into Little Rock Central High School. And President Eisenhower had to mobilize the National Guard in support of the students. It's unpleasant to remember some of the things from then. It's unpleasant to remember that the boys and the girls state programs that we high schoolers would attend were then segregated by race. That the Alcoa student, who later became the first African-American basketball coach at the University of Tennessee, when he was a teenager and wanted to go to a University of Tennessee football game, had to sit in a section of the stadium that was reserved for blacks. It's unpleasant to remember that there never had been then an African-American athlete who played in the Southeastern Conference, or there hadn't been a black Supreme Court justice in Tennessee, or a black chancellor, a local judge. It's unpleasant to remember that African-American students couldn't sit in the front of the bus, couldn't sit at a lunch counter, and when traveling across our state
in some other states in the South had to sleep in the car because no motel would admit them because of their race. So it is good to celebrate that things are very different today. And it's important to remember the courage of the Clinton 12 and to celebrate that progress. But it's also important to remember, as was said, things are better, but they could be even better. We still have a ways to go. We have a United States Senator from South Carolina whose name is Tim Scott. He is an African-American senator elected from that state. He told me that he was arrested 7 times within the last few years in his hometown of Charleston, South Carolina, basically for being a black man in the wrong place. And at the time, he was the vice mayor of Charleston. When I first came to the Senate several years ago, your city manager, Steve Jones, came to see me to tell me about Clinton's vision to tell the story of the Clinton 12. It's been a great pleasure to work with him and with the city and so many of you to try to help to do that. Our former Senator Bill Frist worked with us to help secure some of the first funding for Green McAdoo Cultural Center. And a new law we passed in 2009 directed the Secretary of the Interior to take the first step to make it a part of our national park system. The late Reverend Benjamin Hooks, a Tennessean who was president of the NAACP, once told me this. He said, "Remember, our country is a work in progress. In my lifetime," Reverend Hooks said, "I have seen us come a long way, but we have a long way to go." That is why the story of the Clinton 12 is so important to remember and to celebrate today. Thank you for inviting me.
I would like to now introduce Congressman Chuck Fleischmann. Congressman Fleischmann represents Tennessee's 3rd District, which includes 11 East Tennessee counties in the U.S. House of Representatives. He has served the 3rd District, which includes Anderson County, since 2011. Congressman Fleischmann serves on the House Appropriations Committee, and within that committee serves on 2 subcommittees, Energy and Water Development and related agencies, and that is of great importance to Oak Ridge National Lab and Y-12, and also the Homeland Security Subcommittee, on which he serves as ranking member. Congressman Fleischmann and his wife Brenda live in Ooltewah, Tennessee, and have 3 sons. Congressman Fleischmann, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Frank. To all of our distinguished elected officials, thank you so much. It's a tremendous privilege to be here today. This is an emotional day. We are in a great city, Clinton, Tennessee, and I think the greatest state of the Union, the great state of Tennessee, in the land that I know is the greatest nation and freest nation in the world, the United States of America. To the wonderful people we honor today, the Clinton 12, you all have made America a better place for me and for everyone in this room. Thank you, and God bless you for your courage. As we honor your great history and your great legacy, I think about the present. To the students here today, and I want to speak with you. In 1976, I sat where you all were, in middle school. America celebrated a very special 200th bicentennial. It was very special to me. I never forgot that day and that moment. Remember this day forever as we honor the history, the legacy of these great people. But think about what you will hear today. You will hear about the struggle for civil rights, and the struggle for civil rights to our great young students can never fall prey to partisan politics. This must be an American struggle. This must be an American victory, and this must be a victory for all of us in the future. It is far too important. Yes. It's no doubt in closing, our country is divided, but we have been divided before. But as we come together and honor the history of the Clinton 12, the present that we are honoring this great community today, let us resolve for our great future, an American future where the American dream is available to all Americans, regardless of race or creed or national origin. We are the United States of America. We are that great beacon of freedom and opportunity to the world. That is what the Clinton 12 did for us. That is what you students will do for us, and let our resolve to be for a greater America tomorrow. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you.
Good morning. I'm Judy Gooch. I'm representing my husband, Warren Gooch, who's mayor of Oak Ridge. He could not be here today. He's in Nashville on work, but I considered it a real privilege to fill in for him today. He and I were both present 13 years ago at the 50th anniversary when you all first came back as a group to be honored and were here for the premiere of the documentary, The Clinton 12. That absolutely was one of the most moving experiences of my whole life, and it profoundly affected me, so thank you. Today here, though, I'm here to introduce Bob Clement. Bob Clement was a former 8-term U.S. Congressman representing the Nashville area. At age 32, he was elected to the Tennessee Public Service Commission, and in 1972, he was the youngest person elected to a statewide office in Tennessee. He served on the board of directors of the Tennessee Valley Authority and was president of Cumberland University before being elected to Congress in 1987. Bob served 2 years in the U.S. Army and then 29 years in the Tennessee National Guard. He is the son of the late Governor Frank Clement, who was governor at the time that all of this happened in 1956. He's a graduate of the University of Tennessee. Currently, he's president of Clement and Associates in Nashville. But before I ask former Congressman Clement to come forward, I wanted to share one small paragraph out of a book he has written that is entitled Presidents, Kings, and Convicts. He writes, "My sincerest hope is that our future generations will embrace service for all of their lives. They can join the military, run for an elective office, volunteer at a local charity, or simply reach out to another person in need. The greatest gift we can leave behind is the gift of service. Those whom we help will never forget." I hope we'll all remember that. We welcome Ms. Clement.
Well, thank you, Judy, Warren, very much. Clinton Middle School students, we are honored to be here to honor the Clinton 12 that are special to all of us. Not only the Clinton 12, but also the families of the Clinton 12. Can you imagine first black teens to integrate a public school in the South? And walking from McAdoo to Clinton, what was Clinton High School, that's an experience in itself. You truly walked in history in 1956. I want to say to Jerry Shannon over here, a former football star here in Anderson County, once upon a time, and Senator Alexander, thank you for your comments.
very, very much about me, and especially about my father, Governor Frank G. Clement. And you know, this is his last term as U.S. Senator. Served us well, and we congratulate you, Senator Alexander. And I know personally what a tough campaigner he is, too. And Congressman Chuck Fleischmann, Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally, State Representative John Reagan, Tracy Wendell, our county mayor, Terry Frank, his wife, and City Mayor Scott Burton. It's just a great honor to be here. I was 13 years old when this happened, 1956. Here I'm living in the governor's residence, my father's governor, Frank G. Clement, and I watched and observed everything that happened during that period of time. Maybe a lot of 13-year-olds wouldn't tune in, but I sure did. And I remember at the governor's residence during that period of time, we didn't have a fence at the governor's residence like they have now. We had a trooper at every tree because there were so many threats on my father's life at that particular time. But it's amazing how hysteria turns into history. And that's what happened. But I'll never forget, during that period of time, Governor Wallace contacted my father. Governor Faubus in Arkansas contacted my father and asking Governor Frank G. Clement to stand at the schoolhouse door and refuse blacks from going to school with whites. Governor Frank G. Clement emphatically refused and made the comment all over the state of Tennessee, as long as I'm governor, no federal marshals, no federal troops will march in Tennessee. We will solve our problem by Tennesseans, and that's exactly what we did for the future of Tennessee. I challenge all of you students here at Clinton Middle School. You will see and observe many injustices in life. I hope every one of you will stand up and be counted. Speak up and speak out. Don't be a spectator, be a participator. That's not easy. We see a lot of wrongs in our society, but it's up to every one of us to speak up and speak out, because we live in the greatest country in the history of the world. But the average longevity of great democracies in the past is 200 years. We've already celebrated our 200th birthday. So we must speak up and speak out. And I know Judy mentioned my book a while ago, President Kings and Convicts, but I've got another book Joanne Boyce wrote over here, The Promise of Change, and I hope all of you will get this book. And I want to say about Bobby Kane, too. Bobby Kane lives not too far from where I live, and so I've had him at the Clement Museum in the past as well. And as you know, he was the first African American to ever graduate from a public high school in the South. What an achievement. God bless all of you.
What a great day. It really is. Okay, I'm gonna embarrass some people. Gotta recognize a couple people here. If you can stand when I call your name, Dr. Tim Parrott. Don't clap yet. He's the director of Anderson County Schools. Dr. Bruce Boshears, did I pronounce that right? Close enough. Superintendent of Oak Ridge Schools, and Mrs. Kelly Johnson, director of Clinton City Schools. I want to thank them for their help for this event, and please give them a round of applause. I don't know how many people know, I'm gonna embarrass you too, you can get mad at me, Catherine Denenberg. She called me a couple months ago, said, hey, I've got an idea. I was like, well, I won't agree with you anyway. I'm a little scared of her. But she came up with this whole idea, and she brought the cities and the county and state together. And I want to publicly thank you for all you've done. Catherine, stand up, give her a round of applause. One more person I want to recognize in the crowd that I don't think she gets enough recognition. It's probably been, I'm guessing, 12, 13 years ago. Marilyn Hayden. Now, the story I remember is this was the Green McAdoo. This was her idea, and they took it to the former city manager and the council, and they got together and went from there. So you lit the torch of all this, and this is one of the reasons why we're here, along with these great people. Thank you again, Marilyn. I want to introduce our state representatives. I'm going to have a little bit of smaller bio. I don't think they mind. But Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally, he served as Lieutenant Governor since 2017. Lieutenant Governor McNally was first elected as state representative in 1979. District 33 Representative John Reagan, he has been our state representative since 2010 and represents most of Anderson County. I wanted to save a little bit of time to make a couple points, which I really hope you appreciate and make your applause that recognition. These two individuals were instrumental in making the Green McAdoo a designated state museum, and have secured $100,000 in state dollars annually to go toward Green McAdoo for operations and programs. This will ensure Green McAdoo will be here for generations to come. I am proud to introduce to you Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally and State Representative John Reagan.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here and to honor some individuals of leadership and courage. I very much appreciate your efforts. And also, I have to mention that Jerry Shattuck was the head of the student council at that time, and he, as well as a number of officials in Clinton, were instrumental in assuring the safety and a good place for the students here. Steve Jones was his grandfather, I believe, who was superintendent back then, and he was the one that brought us the information on Green McAdoo. But I'd like to introduce at this time my friend John Reagan, who has a resolution that we passed to honor the people who participated and were members of the Clinton 12.
Thank you, Governor.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here. And for the students that are here, I know it's getting close to lunchtime. When I was in the classroom, we used to call this the diesel hour because everybody's stomach was rumbling like a diesel engine. So I shall be short. Let me leave 2 words with you. First off, courage. Without fear, courage has no meaning. And the people you see here on this stage have demonstrated courage in the face of fear. For that, you owe them a great debt. The next word is right. A famous Tennessean, David Crockett, said, "Be sure you're right, and then go ahead." And these people certainly did. For those of you who are currently attending Clinton schools, I encourage you, in fact, I demand of you, that you benefit from their example. Think, exhibit courage in doing what's right. This proclamation that the Lieutenant Governor and I are proud to present, I won't bore you with reading it because, like I said, I know it's lunch hour. I can hear the engines running. Suffice it to say, I will read the last 2 paragraphs. It is most appropriate that the members of this legislative body recognize the expansive community partnership of the City of Clinton and the City of Oak Ridge and Anderson County to honor the sacrifice of these amazing trailblazers who will forever be known as the Clinton 12. Therefore, Randy McNally, Speaker of the Senate of the 111th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, in conjunction with Representative John Reagan, do hereby proclaim that we join the citizens of Clinton, Oak Ridge, Anderson County, and the state of Tennessee to celebrate the Clinton 12 Commemorative Walk on August 26, 2019. And we pay respectful tribute to the original 12 African American students who impacted the entire nation as they took a stand for education equality for all. Governor?
And they want us to take a picture with the ones on the other.
I also wanted to announce that the City of Clinton, the City of Oak Ridge, and Anderson County have also done a joint resolution that will be honoring the Clinton 12. Each of the Clinton 12 members and their families will receive a copy of this joint resolution later at lunch, but we wanted to know that we have done that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
There's nothing more important than what's happening right here. And I want to thank each and every one of you. First off, my name's Tracy Wandell. I'm a county commissioner. I'm chairman of county commission, proudly serving 16 commissioners. And we just want to thank you, each and every single one of you, your families, what you've stood for. Maybe the younger generation doesn't realize, we'll say it pretty clearly, these folks weren't allowed to attend public schools. You might hear different words, desegregation, Brown versus whatever, I don't know all the laws, but it's pretty simple. These folks stood up for what they believed was right. They came down the hill to this school, which they deserved an education. I think those leaders of this state, this great state of Tennessee, is Congressman Fleischmann, Congressman Clement, our great Senator Alexander, who is a true statesman. I respect this man immensely, and guess what? I'm not on the same aisle he is on. But today, parties don't matter. What matters is we're in Anderson County, Tennessee, and if you don't mind, I'd like to just quickly summarize. They selected me to do closing remarks, and that probably was a mistake. In 1977, and again, I want to be very clear, this is about these folks, but I want them to know what a profound impact you had on this young, skinny white boy that came from Virginia and moved here. Yeah, I was skinny once upon a time. In 1977, I was on the other side. I was desegregated to an all-black school. I was a lucky white boy, about 40 of us, that were chosen to be bused past several high schools to an all-black school. My chipped teeth came from that school. I didn't like black folks. In fact, I can say I had a pretty mean dislike for black folks. But you know, God does good things. He brought me here. And I'll never forget a young man I met. He's a little bit older than me, Mr. Jerry Everett. He came to me and said, "Tracy, why are you so upset with black folks?" I told him my story. But instead of getting mad at me, he put his arm around me. He said, "I love you." And I thought, what? How can a black person love me? And I realized it's not about the color of your skin. It's not about what party you're on. It's about love. Today we walked down that hill. It was an honor and a privilege. Everyone's already been thanked, and I thank them all again. But the honor to walk down that hill with you means more to me than you'll ever know. And Miss Caswell, I'd venture to say that limousine was probably the only limousine that's ever came to Claxton. So look, when we leave here today, those raindrops, I like to think of them as tears of love. Many of us have lost special ones here recently. My condolences to the Weaver family. I lost a nephew this weekend, but the one thing that was a takeaway, I think, in both celebrations of life, I would imagine, is love each other. Love is free, doesn't cost you nothing. You kids, persevere, stand up, take the advice of these folks that stood up. You can be anybody. You can be the next leader of this great nation if you so choose. Love each other, and that's about all I have. Is the way that goes. Now I got to read what they gave me to read. So we'll end it up. I thank you all again, and let's one more time, please, let's recognize the Clinton 12, their families, their friends. Thank you. God bless you. Okay, this is going to conclude the ceremony. I hope we do it again soon. We'd like for those to give time. The guests, please stay seated as we allow the students to exit. They do have to get to that lunch, Representative Reagan. So if the students can go ahead and exit out. For those dignitaries and honored guests, I believe to the left, Mayor. We're going to have the media set up if you'd like to do interviews. And afterwards, we're going to have refreshments at the Clinton Community Center directly across the street, and I'd like for you to come across through there. God bless you all. Thank you.